Every single day, we're interacting with technology. We ask for directions, we get a movie recommendation, we scroll through our feeds. It all feels pretty straightforward, right? But underneath all those simple clicks and swipes, something way more profound is going on. We are locked in this unseen dance with artificial intelligence, a constant back and forth that's changing not just our world, but who we are as people. So, what are the steps to this dance, and who's leading? Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first. We have to challenge this idea that a lot of us have, that we are these completely independent individuals, and we're just using technology like a hammer or a screwdriver. But think about it. As our tech gets smarter and more integrated into our lives, is that picture really accurate anymore?
I mean, it's a classic sci-fi dream, isn't it? The idea that we could just capture the pure information of our minds, upload it to the cloud, and boom, digital immortality. It's this really seductive fantasy that treats your mind like it's just software, and your body, well, that's just the clunky old hardware you can't wait to get rid of. But as the literary critic N. Catherine Hales argues, this idea isn't just a little off. It's actually kind of dangerous. She says it plays on mere fantasies of cognition because it completely misunderstands what it even means to be human. So what's the big piece of the puzzle that this whole fantasy is missing? It's missing the body. We don't just think with our brains in a jar, we think with our entire being. Our thoughts, our consciousness, it's all tangled up with our physical bodies. Our hormones, our gut bacteria, the constant flood of information from our senses. Hale's point is, you just can't separate the informational pattern of the mind from the messy, complex biological machine that creates it. There's no consciousness without a body. And this leads us to this big idea called posthumanism. And no, it's not about cyborgs and the robot apocalypse. It's really a way of thinking that questions that old-school image of the person as this totally independent, free-willed agent. Posthumanism suggests that our deep, daily dance with technology is actually breaking down that illusion, showing us that our thoughts, our choices, our very selves are shared and shaped by the systems all around us. So if we aren't totally separate from our technology, then what's the real story of our relationship? Well, this brings us to the core concept for this whole explainer, technogenesis. Thinkers like Bernard Stiegler have argued that this isn't some new thing that just happened with the internet. Nope. Humans and technology have been co-evolving since the very first stone tools. The development of language, our tools, even our brains, they didn't happen one after the other. They all grew up together, each one shaping the other. Technology isn't some external thing we invented. It's a fundamental part of what made us human to begin with. And you can break this profound idea down into a really simple loop. Just think about writing. We created writing as a tool to record things. But then, that very tool reshaped our brains and our entire societies, making us think in more linear, logical ways. We were literally reinvented by the thing we made. It's this constant cycle. We invent things, and in turn, those things invent us. So this co-evolutionary dance, it's been going on for thousands of years. But here in the 21st century, with the arrival of AI, the DJ just changed the track. The tempo has sped up dramatically. The dance has become this high-speed, non-stop feedback loop. The basic process is still the same, but what AI has done is inject an absolutely incredible amount of speed and scale into the cycle. This is no longer some slow waltz playing out over generations. It's more like a lightning-fast algorithm iterating on itself in milliseconds. So here's how this actually works in our daily lives. Every single time you watch a video, buy something online, or pick a route on a map, you're feeding data into a system. An AI model learns from your behavior and, of course, the behavior of millions of other people. Then it uses that learning to serve you a personalized recommendation which influences your next choice. That choice then generates brand new data, and the cycle just repeats, over and over, getting tighter and more influential each and every time. So what makes this AI loop so different from, say, the invention of the printing press? Well, researchers point to 5 key things. It's not just the mind-boggling speed or the fact that it's pervasive. I mean, it is literally everywhere. It's also highly persuasive because it's tailored just for you. And every single interaction is traceable, creating these unimaginably huge data sets. And when you combine all of that with a level of complexity that no single human can really understand, you've got a whole new ballgame. And when you speed up a dance that fast, with no rehearsal, you're bound to get some unexpected and often pretty unwelcome moves. This accelerated feedback loop is now creating some massive and often unintended consequences for all of society. One of the deepest effects is on our own minds. N. Catherine Hales talks about two modes of attention. Deep attention is what you need to get lost in a good book or solve a really tough problem. Hyperattention, on the other hand, is what you use to quickly scan a bunch of different windows and feeds. Our digital world, which is driven by these AI feedback loops, is built from the ground up to reward hyperattention. It is literally rewiring our brains, making that deep, quiet focus harder and harder to find.
And these consequences pop up everywhere. You see it on social media, where optimizing for engagement accidentally creates polarization and echo chambers. In online retail, it shrinks diversity by pushing only the most popular stuff. Even generative AI can suffer from something called model collapse, where models trained on their own synthetic data start to lose creativity and just devolve. It's kind of like digital inbreeding.
And to make this really concrete, just look at what happened in this little town, Lonia, New Jersey. Navigation apps, each one trying to find the fastest route for each individual driver, sent a massive flood of cars right through the middle of town, creating total gridlock. People couldn't even get out of their own driveways. What was a rational choice for each individual driver added up to a collective disaster. It's a perfect metaphor for how AI's narrow focus on what's best for one person can create huge systemic problems for everyone. Okay, so the situation seems pretty complex, maybe even a little grim. But we are not helpless here. And that brings us to the most important question. How do we learn the steps to this new, super fast dance and actually start to lead instead of just being spun around the floor?
Well, the emerging answer is a big shift in perspective to something called society-centered AI. For decades, tech has been all about the individual user, making things convenient for you. This new approach says we have to start designing and measuring AI based on how it impacts our collective well-being. And this is critical. It accepts that you can't just throw more tech at the problem. This is a social and political challenge that's going to need new rules and a whole new way of thinking.
And this is where we kind of come full circle. In a world that is designed to push us into a state of constant hyperattention, the skills that are cultivated by the humanities, critical thinking, sustained focus, seeing the bigger picture, they aren't just academic exercises anymore. They've become essential tools for cognitive resistance. They are how we hold on to our ability for deep thought and how we can consciously push back against the systems that are trying to shape us.
The legendary author Isaac Asimov just captured the urgency of this perfectly. We can't afford to just react to things anymore. These feedback loops are just too fast. We have to become proactive. We have to start thinking about the future consequences of the systems we are building and using right now. So we'll leave you with this question. In our dance with AI, are we leading or are we being led? Because this coevolution, it's happening, whether we pay attention to it or not. Understanding the steps, the feedback loops, the hidden consequences, and our own role in it all, that is the very first move toward choosing our own direction. It's the difference between being spun around the floor and truly, finally, leading the dance.